Welcome into your Super Bowl pregame here on HQ, presented by Capital One. Alongside Eric Casillas, I'm Joe Musso, and on tap is the highest-seeded Super Bowl against the two most penalized teams, with the quarterback who has sacked the most this season taking on the quarterback who threw the most interceptions. Right where we expected to be, folks.
And it is kind of a full circle kind of thing. This is the city that held the first Super Bowl, and now they're going to hold the most recent Super Bowl. And, former 49er quarterback Steve Young once said, look, I woke up Super Bowl morning. I knew my life was going to be very different when I went to bed that night. Maybe better, maybe worse, but definitely not the same. That is the deal today. NFL history is going to be forever changed in a few hours. So let's get to it. We send it out to L.A. Here's Jonathan Jones, Josina Anderson, and Chris Hassel.
EK, Musso, thank you so much. It's actually cooled off a little bit. We've been talking all day about how hot it is. It's cooled off 2 or 3 degrees just in the last couple of hours, and the wind has really picked up. What do you think, JJ?
Yeah, I was out here earlier, right, with you, Chris, at 9 a.m. Pacific, and I was like, okay, it's hot, but it's going to get hotter. Then it started getting hotter, and I said, I might take this jacket off. Then I said, the sweat, you might see where I'm sweating, and so now I wanted to keep the jacket on. Now it's quite comfy. I may just stay here till kickoff.
I didn't know if you were going to be the halftime entertainment with what's getting ready to happen over here, and I thought you were doing this hit with your sunglasses, but...
That's right. I considered it.
You considered it? So, yeah, it's a little cooler. We appreciate it.
Well, set the stage, Josina. You got Super Bowl 56 coming up in just over 1 hour.
Yeah, and this is an interesting Super Bowl 56 featuring two quarterbacks, the first of which is Matthew Stafford, who I really feel like is the anti-star. This is a quarterback not looking for any kind of headlines. As a matter of fact, I think the first headline that he made of note this year was just basically wanting to be traded from the Detroit Lions and not wanting to have to deal with that fourth coach back in Detroit as well. And so he was able to do that. And then even though he went through some adversities, you have to give him his props for throwing 42 touchdowns, second to Tom Brady. And, yes, they mentioned the interceptions there in the open. And I really think that, Chris and Jonathan, that a lot of that had to do with shades of dealing with the ghosts of the past. Do I really belong? Have I arrived on this stage? But then when he overcame that, when you look at the stats in the playoffs right now, completing 72% of his passes, 8 touchdowns, that includes 2 of which are rushing, 1 interception, a passer rating of 115.8. I really think like he has done the job. The question is, though, has he changed the narrative about himself? Does he need this win today to be considered a Hall of Fame, candidate, or just the fact that you even regard him as better overall?
Yeah, I think that a win today would obviously very much help that candidacy for Matthew Stafford, a guy who didn't have any playoff victories, right, until just a few weeks ago. But this game, to me, and we've talked about it throughout the day and throughout the week, it's showing how you can skin a cat in a couple of different ways in the NFL. You can go about it like the Los Angeles Rams, an untraditional, unconventional kind of way where here they are, hey, we're not going to care about our first-round draft picks, at least in the traditional sense. We're going to care about them insofar as we can get Jalen Ramsey and Matthew Stafford, and then a second and a third, and they didn't really have to throw in the third for Von Miller, but they did anyway to make sure that they could get him. Meanwhile, you have the Cincinnati Bengals, a team that, okay, they lucked into the number 1 overall pick by virtue of being incredibly bad, 2-14 in Zach Taylor's first year, but this is a team that, compared to the other 31 NFL teams, arguably the cheapest NFL franchise there is when you look at their facilities, when you look at their history with free agents outside of their building. Trey Hendrickson is the highest paid free agent in Bengals history. He got paid 4 years, $60 million. That's a lot of money to maybe all 3 of us sitting up here. Josina.
Yes, it still qualifies. It still qualifies, Jonathan.
But that just kind of shows you normally, you got the veteran quarterback and you're filling around him in the draft and free agency, but these two teams have gone about it in ways that really none of the other 30 teams have.
And with Joe Burrow, a guy who is 6-0 straight up as an underdog this season. Not only does he cover, his teams win. Can he make it that number 7? And if he does, what kind of a statement would that be for a quarterback really playing his first full season?
Well, not only, you mentioned that stat, but he's 6-0 with Jamar Chase going back to their college days. They have not lost in a postseason together. And I think what's really emblematic of that is his personality that carries the cool confidence. Very unflappable, despite the fact that he has been on multiple big stages. This is still the biggest stage of yet. And when I asked him about that at the Bengals media availability just a couple of days ago, he really kind of likened it to his upbringing in rural Ohio and all the challenges and the adversity that he saw in the abject area of Athens County, the Appalachian area of Ohio, all the poverty there and somewhat. And that when you think about the pressure of a football game, that really doesn't compare to having to make it and persevere out of that circumstance. So right now, this seems like cotton candy to him.
It does, and he's made the hard stuff look easy all season. It's really hard to sit back there and get sacked 51 times and make it to the postseason, get sacked 9 times and still win football games, right? And talking with a Rams source earlier this week who told me, listen, they can't block us, but they also couldn't block the Chiefs and they couldn't block the Titans. And we saw what happened with the Chiefs and the Titans. And so he doesn't, I mean, he cares about his offensive line, but he plays like he doesn't care what's happening in front of him. He has an average time to throw that is far below the NFL average of 2.5 seconds. He's at 2.38 seconds. That's when pressure arrives for Joe Burrow. He doesn't, his wide receivers, as great as Jamar Chase is, as great as T. Higgins is, and they are great, when you look at their average separation numbers, they're far below average in the NFL. They're not getting a ton of separation before the catch. As soon as they catch the ball, now they're taking off. He has to throw tight window throws more than the NFL average. Meanwhile, Matthew Stafford gets to see Cooper Kupp and Odell Beckham Jr. out there just doing things to cornerbacks and being wide open targets. So Joe Burrow, with pressure in his face, with wide receivers that don't get a ton of separation, has been delivering dimes all year long, unlike really we've ever seen from a guy in just his second year in the NFL.
Says confidence is his greatest trait, and nobody in the NFL at the quarterback position has been better when facing pressure than Joe Burrow has. The Rams probably will get pressure on him. The question is that going to affect him enough to win the football game? So let's get picks. The line has moved to -4.5. Rams were dipped down to 3.5 at some places earlier this week, went up to 4, now 4.5. The total is now at 49, JJ.
So all week, I didn't care what the line was. When it was 4, when it was 4.5, this is always my pick, and I'm going to stick with it. I have the Rams winning 28-24, and it's not just that. I'm going to give you just a little bit more. It's going to be 28-18 there in the fourth quarter. The Bengals are going to score to make it 28-24. Evan McPherson, though, is going to miss the kick. And he hasn't missed any extra points this season. So then they have to kick the onside. They don't recover. Matthew Stafford kneels out the game. He gets to win it in SoFi Stadium, the second consecutive quarterback to win the Super Bowl in his home stadium. That's exactly how it is going to go down. I don't know if you actually have to watch the game because I just told you.
I was just about to say, that sounded like a whole Steven Spielberg movie. We don't even have to go to SoFi behind us. You gave us the score.
We got the breeze. It's cool out here.
In the fourth quarter, you're saying the kicker's going to miss it. I don't know if his parents – is your phone ringing? Because his parents probably didn't like
I'm chilling.
You're chilling? Well, I'm not going to make a prediction, but I will make a statement, and it's really kind of like what another Rams source had also told me as well, which is that the Rams cannot come into this game sleeping on the Bengals. The Bengals are a team that went through a tremendous gauntlet to get here, beating the Raiders, beating the Chiefs, and beating the Titans. You have to respect that, especially when within one of those games, Burrow was sacked 9 times and still managed to beat the AFC top seed to get into, this game here. So I just think that even though the Rams look better on paper, this game is not fought on paper.
That's right.
This game is fought when both teams go to the line of scrimmage and put up their best, and whoever's going to make the less mistakes right now is the team that's going to win.
Bengals are the first team in NFL history to win 3 playoff games by 1 score heading into the Super Bowl, and we expect another close one in this one. JJ's calling for a backdoor cover. Oh, man. 28-18 to 28-24. That would cover the 4.5. Jonathan Jones, Josina Anderson, and Chris Hassel here at SoFi. We're about an hour away from kick. Our guys in Connecticut are going to be with you all night long. Back to Musso and EK, fellas.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.